I feel like within the present day, a lot of the things we do, we look at as obligations. Saying that should be fun, that should be new, exciting, should be a journey, has started to become something that we force. Especially with the inclusion of social media into our life, it's really easy to get caught up in all these things of you should be doing this for your age, you should be doing this. And it's not a new subject. But I think it is very important that we don't so easily get swayed by these. Now, I was born in 2010, so I was raised on social media. And everything that's kind of led me to this point has really derived from the things that social media tells me to do. You know, and in my own life, I got caught up trying to either focus on leisure, as the ancient Greeks, where they spent most of their time doing philosophy or some shit, so work. But then also you got hustle culture that would tell you the complete opposite. And the big thing is that neither are something you have to do. I mean, it sounds very basic, but shit, when I think about it, it's like, damn, I don't have to do it. Like, I don't have to do either. Like, I know it sounds very counterproductive, but you really don't have to do anything. Like, any, goal. Because I think that's actually what holds people back from doing goals. The second it becomes a task, so the second it becomes almost mandatory in their life. You can tell a obese person 10 times a day, you have to work out, you have to eat good. And I feel like it still would not be enough, or at least in some cases not be enough to push them to actually do it. A lot of our goals are really centered around our own internal motivation, not really the ones that are given to us. I know that external motivation works, of course, but it doesn't work 100% of the time. I've always found stuff like that intriguing. And the same thing can be said about, at least, current education. There's a lot of students that, of course, they've been raised in a way that you can tell them they have this amount of time to get an assignment done and they'll get it done. But there's some kids who, like myself, will tend to look at an assignment as this isn't something I really want to learn. This is a task. It doesn't seem like, it doesn't make you want to complete the task. Even if it's your goal, even if you're told 100 times a day you should be studying, it doesn't make you want to. The big thing is that we have to stop looking at our goals as mandatory, as obligations. And it sounds so counterproductive, but the second you look at something you want to do, that's something you have to do. And that's it. That's where a lot of people will tell you, weightlifting. I've always heard from the biggest guys that they kind of see it as a journey. They see it not as just from A to B, from skinny to big. It's really everything else in between. And it will actually only prevent you from making any change by having this A to B mindset, because you never know what B is. And because of that, you'll be chasing something that you never get. And if you're chasing something you never get, of course you'll never really feel the motivation work at it at all. I think I'm saying that a lot of people are missing. You know, I can't like count them to the screen right now, whoever's watching. But I guarantee at least someone's watching this and they've had a goal. And they're like, man, I really can't do it. Or I can't get myself to do it. Even though it's saying I know I should do. But it's that exact statement right there. It's saying I know I should do. Should you have to do anything? Like that it sounds backwards. But I think we should really stop looking at it as this is something I should do. Man, if you're fat, be a fat ass. Like, you really don't have to do anything. You really don't have to do anything, but you should reword it to, I want to do something. Like, I think we really just have to change these wordings around. Because it puts your mind in a state of, yeah, this is something I actually want to do. And you're not then looking for external motivation, because the motivation's found in that. You know, motivation's found in the process. It's not found before it or after it. It's found, actually it could be after it. It's found in the making. I probably didn't say this right, or word it right. It sounded amazing in my head. I was on this walk. But I believe it. I think it just makes sense. You know, I've had more than enough experience to know how it feels to want to do a task and not be able to do it because of my mindset around it. Like, you know how crazy it is the second that, like, I'm watching a reel, it's on social media, and all of a sudden it says listing all the importance of a certain school subject, and then all of a sudden I'm in school, I'm like, whoa, I'm way more intrigued in this because I actually was given a reason. Like, it sounds so goofy. You know, a lot of people who are raised different or kind of always have the knowledge of, like, that there's an importance to these subjects, as there is. It just kind of sucks that I'm being stuck in this loop. And not just me, but a lot of people are being stuck in this loop of having to be reminded. And having to constantly be reminded is not fun, and that in itself is not productive. If you always need a reminder of your goal, and you didn't really chase it in the first place, I feel like a way to really combat that is not looking at it as attachments, looking at everything as a want. Just say I want this and just call it a day, but never go in this state of shame about it, you know? Because the second it gets to that point, the second you just you bring yourself to a complete stop with the goal. I think majority of people have the tools to do things. They have the strength, they have the will, they have the determination. But they got the wrong reason. Because you may think you have the reason, but it's the part that comes after you hear all that stuff. Like, you can hear, like, oh, this is good for you, this is good for you, this is good for you. Now do it. And you start telling yourself, oh, I need to do this. And it's that. Even if you don't say it audibly, it's like in your head. If you think of it that way, it's not going to get done. I need to do this. Yeah, it's not. Like, imagine doing something for the sake of someone else. you're not gonna have the motivation the second you say I need to do this. You're gonna have the motivation to do it the second you start thinking of all those other people that are counting on you, you know? And that's where the motivation is. So in general, when it comes to a task, you shouldn't be like, I need to do this, because that's not your reason. That's not your real reason. Like, even if it was like a life or death scenario, even if a gun was pointed to your head, do you need to? It's like you technically don't need to do anything. That's something that weighs, I think could very much weigh someone down. You know? I think the word need is just an illusion. Generally, I think the concept of the word need is so like, that's how a lot of people trap you. They tell you, oh, you need this. And exactly, all of a sudden you're going to be following them like a sheep. But I think in general, people have to become more self-reliant. And not put it all on the word of someone else. Of course, someone can give you the information, you know, but you should hear that information, digest it, think of it yourself, and say, I want to do this, instead of, I need to because this person basically proved that I need to. No. That's the way I think of it. That's just my thought. I'll post this. Probably will get like no views, but that's whatever. It's whatever, man.